And we'll make sure we're live. And it sure looks like we are. All right. Got it going. And we are live. Excellent. Okay. So that being said, here we go on June 2018's Health, Wealth, and Happiness Mastery Training. Thought long and hard about the reason why I and so many others have created amazing success and maintained it over the last few years. Well, for me, it's the last 30 years. But there's this underlying trait that we're going to go over today as we step into our training part of our teachings today and really own that for you. And it starts with a U and an L. If you can guess what it is, comment below. I'd love to know. Really powerful trait. Now, here's how we're going to frame this over here. These two amazing people, my grandpa Bob, my grandma Bernice, played a major role in helping me understand very key elements to living a healthy, wealthy, happy life. Wealthy not in the sense necessarily of just finances, but also in the sense of wealth in life. Great relationships, lots of love, all these kinds of things. So I just want to dedicate today's training. Rest in peace, Gramps and Grams. If I don't fall apart today at least once, that'll be a miracle. They meant so much to me, and I still feel their spirit every day. And maybe there's somebody in your life that really was an amazing role model for you, that you feel like, oh, I woke up this morning, just as an example, and I could hear my grandma singing, "This is the day that the Lord has made," and that was her thing. She would jump around, do that, and I woke up this morning hearing her sing that, and then I also heard her, or smelled pancakes, because that was her singing. Saturday mornings, her, me, Gramps, and whoever else was there. This was up at Houghton Lake, Michigan, at their place. Amazing place they had. So many great memories there. That was the Saturday morning routine. And I woke up and I felt that. Just telling you that gives me chills. So what is it for you as we start today's conversation? Because this is really about what this UL is all about. It's about role models in our life, people who support us, champion us on, care for us, love us. Give you a hint there. The L might have something to do with love. And really own that for us, right? So that's the sort of setup. And that's all I'm going to say. But I want to make sure you know this. These two, I have taken for granted the fact that they played such a huge role model piece in my life of making that really clear, how to be, how to serve, how to help others. And I didn't realize this till even a few years ago, fully, that many people don't have or never had those kind of role models. And it's my job, and I believe our job, to go out and be that role model for others. So today's training is really clear. It's the one underlying trait, or quality if you want to call it that, characteristic, that is so needed today to be the best leader, to be the best for yourself, to be the best husband, wife, parent, son, daughter, the best for your team if you're at work, the best for the world. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. Very first thing we do every health, wealth, and happiness training is we go through and we rate ourselves in 7 critical areas and then 10 needle movers to see how we're doing in life right now. So if you do not have it, feel free to go to bit.ly/monthlyhealth, click the button to get your life assessment, which is the 7 areas we're going to go over. It looks like this. 7 areas. And our goal is, as we go through 2018, every month is to check in, keep perspective, and I'll be talking through a little illustration today, helping you with that, and make sure by the end of the year that you've rated up at least in one area, at least one number. So we'll be walking through how much you agree with these statements. We'll be walking through exactly what you need to know, how you need to be, and I'll give you distinctions. If you have things come up for yourself, just comment below, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on our live cast page, whatever that is for you, or if you're watching our replay, just comment below, because if you're like, you know what, I'm stumbling here, Char, I need some help, I am more than happy to help you out. I've got a lot of resources, got a lot of training now. We got like, what is it? This is our 11th month, I think, or 10th? Yeah, 11th month of training. So we've got literally 11 hours of health, wealth, and happiness training that you can get into that are all topic driven to help you in any specific area. So these are the kind of things we're really trying to go after. So let's get going, because we got a lot to cover today. If you don't have it yet, go ahead and get it. If you don't have it and can't get it, just think about it and note your numbers, at least think about the numbers. And I always challenge you to think about one way you could level up that area of your life, or as we get into the needle movers, which are all part of the wheel of perspective, which looks like this, one way that you can rate those up too. Cool? First and foremost, thank you so much for being here. Because you're here, you're dedicated to health, happiness, and I would say wealth, but I mean it in the bigger sense. Wealth of relationships, wealth of love, wealth of these kind of things. Cool? So thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and jump in. As you know, I always rate myself, and I'm totally open and honest with you to make sure you're getting this. You're getting my take on how it's showing up for me. Now, I feel like I'm pretty masterful in many of these areas because I've paid so much attention to it. I actually created the assessment, but I'm still struggling. You're going to see what showed up in the last couple of weeks, and I'll be open and honest with you. Big part of this is open and vulnerable, right? Making sure we're communicating, having it all part of this. And that L, I already told you, is love. If you can guess the U, comment below. I'd love to know what you think it is. We're going to have so much fun when we get into trading. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the life assessment, number one, is assessing where you're at now in your life. And here's the statement. The goal here is the overall feeling you have with the statement, how much you agree with it. That would be like a 10 if you totally agree with it, down to a 1 if you're like, yeah, I don't even, what? I don't agree with that at all. I don't have that stuff dialed in. I don't even think about that. So whatever that is for you, it's totally cool. If you rate yourself low, totally fine. If you want to share your rating below, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see it. I'd be happy to help you and direct you. Or say, hey, you know what, have you thought about this or doing this exercise or whatever it is, just to live with more connection in life, more vibrance, more love, more care, more, as we teach in high performance, control, but control for the right things, control for new, for novelty, for love, for fulfillment, all these kind of things. Cool? All right, here we go. Here's the statement. Statement number 1. Now, I am where I thought I'd be at this point in my life. Overall, I'm living into the best version of myself for me, those I care for and serve, and the world. How you doing there? What's showing up for you? 1, not at all. 10, owning it. What you got? So I'm going to go through, tell you right now, I'm at about an 8. There's a lot that I want to cover. I really want to hit some notes of really serving in bigger ways, and we're on the path for that. So I'm not where I thought I'd be at this point, but we're getting there. And we got a great plan for the last half of this year, and I can't wait to share that with you. So, so important. So an 8 for me for the first one. 2, my best self. That's the category. Here's the statement. Overall, I feel healthy, happy, and energized. My energy levels are consistent throughout the day and even sustain into the evenings until I go to bed. So what we're aiming for with this statement is this. Overall, you feel positive and energized, and there's a consistency to the energy. You know, back in the old days, I'd say the old days, back when I was my big boy self, shout out to Drew for coming up with that phrase. My good friend Drew, rocking it out there in the fly tying world. He'd say, when I was my big boy self, after lunch, tanked, I needed to take a 2-hour nap. And back then, just so you know, if you haven't heard my story, 270 pounds. Today I'm about 195. And boy, was it like this throughout the day. So our goal as we live for that more vibrant, loved, joyous life is sustained high energy throughout the day. And then our body knows, you know, it's time to go to sleep. So it kind of goes like this, and then poof, as we dip. And I'll dare challenge you that you have good morning routines and good evening routines that set up your day for good energy and good mental clarity and good who you want to be positively. And then you have a nighttime routine that really is a good practice that lets you have a sound rest. We'll talk about that when we hit those needle movers. But that's the shift, right? So I've been doing really well energy, even though I've had this cold going on since Memorial Day, essentially. Really worked. I get over colds quick because of these practices in my life. But my energy's been there, but I have had to double up on some sleep. So 20-minute power naps, I've had more of those as my body's fighting that infection or that virus and really going after it. So I'd say for the last week or two, and we'll just say this is for the month of June, okay? So for the month of June so far, my best self, energized, healthy, happy, energized, I'd say I'm about an 8 there too. I know I can do better. I know what I need to do, and I'm gonna go after that. Number 3, my relationships, and this is a huge part of what we're training today. This piece is all about having the kind of relationship that I had with these two amazing people. Shout out to Bob and B, Gramps and Grams, rocking it out, looking down on us. I feel the energy from them, just permeating. Grandma's singing her songs. dancing around, grabbing me, dancing together, making pancakes on Saturday. She'd always make, she'd just keep shoveling pancakes. Char, you want more pancakes? I'm like, yeah. That was back when I ate a lot of pancakes. Now if I eat them, it's pretty rare, but I eat them when they're delish, right? When they're made, right? Big part of that. So my relationships. I work diligently to create, build, and maintain great relationships with those around me. I feel I'm a good role model for my loved ones and those close to me and the world. I consistently listen well, show compassion for myself and others, and communicate my thoughts and feelings. So how are you doing there? I know there was a lot. Just the overall feeling. 1, I don't have relationships, don't know what you're talking about. 10, crushing it. I feel very connected with the people in my life. I'm supportive of them, unconditionally. Oops, I may have let the you slide. So, big part of this, how are you doing in your relationships? With those closest to you? With those you might serve, like in your career or your work? And just as somebody you meet. Like, one of the coolest role models there for me is a beautiful member of our mastery community, Jonathan Gable. I watch him with this joyous curiosity and the way he shows up, no matter who it is. And he just is communicative. I remember we were walking in San Diego at one of the events, High Performance Academy, and we're walking down the street and this girl is on the corner, not in a negative way. She's just on the corner waiting to cross. And he goes, "You have a beautiful smile." And with that. And I'm like, the world needs more of that. And it was that show, that tell, if you will, of his personality in context that really helped set the frame for that positive, joyous curiosity that so many people miss. You know, there's a great book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying, by Bronnie Ware. She was a hospice nurse for 30 years, that said the biggest regret that people have had as their terminal illness is taking them out of this beautiful planet is that they just weren't happy enough. They didn't realize it was a choice. And I challenge you to think about what I've just shared about Jonathan, and I share as kind of a rule here for relationships. How much positive, joyous curiosity are you bringing in? Maybe with your kids, with your loved ones, with your wife or husband, the closest people to you, right? We get in that rut. And I just want to make sure you're dialing that in. I know I got a lot of work to do here, but that is everything towards this piece of what we're going to teach today. You follow? So I'd love to know. Comment below. Yeah, I bring positive, joyous curiosity, or no, you know what, I need to do that more. What's your commitment? Comment if you dare. Love to hear. Even if you're watching the replay, would love to hear how that shows up for you. So my relationships still feel like I'm at a 7. I get so far in my head sometimes that I just kind of go into zombie mode, and I know that I can do better. And I've been paying extra attention to that as I've been laying out the curriculum today. And I'm going to rate myself down. If you watch some of our previous, that'd probably be a little higher. So I know I can do better there, and I know what I got to do there to get out of my head and get more positive, joyous curiosity. Does that make sense? I hope this is helping you. Love the fact you're here with us today. Thanks so much for being here, rocking it out. How are we doing so far? You loving this? I hope so. Next up, stress, overwhelm, and clarity. This guy. Stress, overwhelm, and clarity. So I'm going to make sure I put my numbers up before I forget what they are. I have great stress management practices in my life. When I do get stressed, I know exactly what to do to reduce or remove it from my life. I typically do not feel overwhelmed or distracted because I have clarity of who I am and what I should be doing every day. I know that was a lot, but that's the biggest thing. When I have coached now over 3,300 sessions of high performance in the last 6 years, stress and overwhelm are directly correlated most of the time to clarity. They're not clear, so they feel stress and overwhelm. So where is that for you? You have great stress management practices. You know what to do. I know what I got to do. The moment I feel stress come on, especially if it's intense, I disconnect for what I'm doing. I take notes to remember what I got to do so I can clear that out of my head. And I go right to the hot tub or in the park for a walk. And I listen to something like Frank Sinatra or Lana Del Rey that takes my brain away. Like high altitude thinking or just high altitude being. Touching palm fronds, smelling the plumeria, the gardenias. What else is in there? Some jasmine. That kind of stuff. Just getting reconnected with the earth. That helps big time. Then I get refocused on what I got to be clear about going into the next part of my day. Boy, I wish I knew that 20 years ago, and I hope you have some practice like that. So what is that for you? I think I'm doing real well here. I'm going to give myself a 9. So let me put my ratings in. 8, 8, 7, 9. The challenge here is if you're below an 8 on any of these so far, think of one thing you can do to level that up just a little bit. One thing you can do to level that up even a half a point. What's one action you can take, one habit you can practice or add that would really help you? Number 5, my career mission. The work I do in the world is meaningful to me. I believe I'm consistent about living in alignment with what the best use of me, my passions, and my talents are. Boy, there's a lot of people I've met are like, yeah, fell out of loving what I did about 10 years ago. I'm still doing it. Ugh. So it's a big part of what can we do to excite ourselves about our work, or maybe it's time for that new chapter in life. You know, what could that be? So what is that for you? For me, that's a 10 plus. We'll put a 10 plus in there because being here with you on a Saturday is the very best use of my time. Being here with you, helping you with these areas, keeping perspective, that is the best use of me. And I hope you have something like that that helps yourself and others. And if you don't, that's my job on the planet, is to help you see what that could be and to do it purposefully and profitably too. Cool? All right. Number 6, my hobbies and passions. I know and understand the importance of having hobbies to help me continually connect with my creative and self-expressive side. Like, that's a huge part to feeling vibrance and emotional connection in life. Doing stuff you love. So for some, that's arts and crafts. For others, I know a couple people in the last few weeks have said archery. Some have said video games with my friends. Like there's a book out, Super Better, that talks about how when you're in a room with people playing a game, whether that's a video game or charades, there's a heightened level of dopamine, oxytocin, all these positive hormones like that get put in your body or get ejected from the glands in your body to make you feel better, right? To make you feel more connected, more cared for. We're talking about that over here in life. And last piece, I forgot to tell you this, I'm consistent about nurturing my hobbies and passions. So again, that challenge is if I opened up your schedule, assuming you have one that has hobbies in it, what parts of the week can I see consistently where you have those hobbies dialed in, right? What's showing up for you there? Ooh, I gotta tell you, these two were gold about hobbies and passions. Bob would be in his workshop up in Houghton Lake. He had 2 of them. He had a little workshop for when it was real cold outside. Then he had a bigger one in the garage. And he would be really working either inside or outside doing it. Grandma, she'd be painting the crafts, drawing, doing needle point, I think that's what it was called, crochet, those kind of things. Just creating and doing it with joy. I always see her and I get so inspired to think about her just sitting there. I'm just building this, making this blanket for somebody, like she would volunteer and make things for people. Those kind of things, right? So they really lived as a great role model in so many ways for me and so many others. Really powerful though. They kept in touch with their passions and hobbies. Gramps and Grams loved to go boating. They loved to have us all out on the boat up at Houghton Lake in the summer. In the winter, it was snowmobiling. I remember we'd drive up to Houghton Lake Friday night, snow's coming down. This would be like in January, February, March. And we'd pull in and Grandpa would have both snowmobiles in the garage with the garage door open, like gassed up, ready to go. Drop your stuff off, get your snowmobile suit and your helmet on. We're out, man. And we'd be driving in the night. We'd ride to this place called Busili's up at Houghton Lake. Still there, awesome pizza place. And we'd have a snack 9, 10 o'clock at night. I remember Neil Diamond was on the jukebox. That's one of the reasons why I love Neil Diamond, is just those memories from the 70s and 80s for me. But that was the thing. They were so in tune with their hobbies and passions. And I hope if you didn't have that role model in your life, you do now. I'm here for you. And I know you know that if you've been with me at all, but I want to make sure that you know if you need help in these areas, comment below, send me an email, let me know. I'll help you, I promise. My job for us is to assure you're living fully connected, alive, fulfilled, with joy, and going after it. Cool? Awesome, so excited for us. Let's rock this. Last one, my life's ambitions. If I died tomorrow, I wouldn't have any regrets. I've lived a life where I've paid attention to and taken action on my life's ambitions. At least once a year, I reevaluate my life's ambitions and schedule time for them. So many people I coach, they want to go to that destination. One girl I coach wants to go to Italy and just devour art. Like just see the stuff at Duomo in Florence, for example, and devour it. And she's just so afraid, like, I can't leave my business, I can't do that. And through our coaching work, we've been able to really help her realize, you know what, you better take advantage of that. We don't know what tomorrow holds. She's scheduled it, she's on it. And she has a confidence that when she goes, she'll be able to disconnect from work. You follow? How powerful is that? You know, and I feel so blessed to tell you that story. And I also feel very blessed to be able to do that work, to really help people in those areas. So that's a really pivotal part. But for you, what is it? What life's ambitions are on hold for you right now? You know, Tim Ferriss talks a lot about this in the 4-Hour Work Week. Mini retirements. You can do it. You've got to dial in your expenses. You've got to dial in, you know, what you need to live. You got to dial in what those mini retirements could be. And you'd be amazed at how many people I know personally who thought they had to work the job to get the income. And then they just said, you know what? I'll bleep this, bleep this. And they just took off, did it. And they made money out living life in different countries, journeying through the world. Isn't that crazy? It's really powerful. So I'd love to know, is there any life's ambitions you're like, this is what I'm going to do by the end of 2018. This is what I'm aiming for in the next 3 to 5 years. Share it below. If I can help you get there faster than you could on your own, then my day is complete. Let's rock it. So how'd you do on these? My career and mission, 10 plus. Hobbies and passions, I do have them, but boy, it's tough right now with the way that I set up my life. I've got a lot of hobbies that I want to do and go after, but the consistency isn't there. And then my life's ambitions, so we're gonna give ourselves an 8 here because there's a couple things that I want to make sure of from a legacy perspective. Before I can agree with that, I wouldn't have any regrets. That I have a lot of this training out in a way that people can get to it even if I'm not on this planet. You follow? That's how tied to my purpose I am. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the wheel of perspective. How are we doing? 25. All right, we gotta crush this. So we're gonna blaze through the wheel of perspective. All this are the tactics, the needle-moving tactics that help you feel more connected in life, better energy, more purposeful, more passionate, more positive, more productive. And when I say productive, of course, you know my P's if you listened to me before. This is more about going after your life's work. Not being busy, but being productive in the sense of having a harmony in life and business. Having a harmony in life. And just kind of moving through, you know, you're doing the things you got to do, but you're also really going after your dreams. That kind of harmony. And then finally, profitable. That's a big part of our discussion in the Business Internet Mastery today. So these are 10 crucial foundation points, if you want to call them that, to make sure you have. Number 1, of course, is sleep. So in the last 2 weeks, 0 to 10, be honest, have you been getting 7 to 9 hours of rest per night? And has it been sound, positive sleep? And I've been doubling up on that because I've been battling this virus or cold. And I'm going to give myself a 9 plus there. Hydration. Have I been consciously drinking water daily? What's showing up for you there? I got my 2 bottles. I've been on that because I know that's a huge part to healing the body. Getting hydrated, keeping hydrated, those kind of things. I'm giving myself a 10. Eating. Have I been eating 80% nutrient-rich food? Yeah, that means this. Green drinks, green smoothies. Grandma Linda, Papa Mike, this one's for you. It's a kale smoothie, and I know when I make it in front of you, you know what you do? Ew, how can you consume that? So yummy. Why, I didn't say that 20 years ago either. I would have never been that guy. But now it helps that vibrance in life, right? Really powerful. So how you doing there? 80% nutrient rich. And I've been pretty well owning that. We've been having fun, don't get me wrong. Especially with my buddy Don being down from Michigan last weekend, Don Pryor, good friend from high school, also amazing business partner. So yeah, we had some fun, but dial that in. Exercise. Have I been getting sweaty, revving my heart 2 to 3 times a week? What's showing up for you there? For at least 30 minutes. Have you been doing that? Got that dialed in. 10. Breaks. Have I been taking breaks at least every 90 minutes? So whenever you're doing, you take a break for 5 to 10 minutes every 90 minutes. What you got going on there? For me, must. Especially in light of the fact that this congestion started getting to my lungs, and I get worried because I had pneumonia once and I never wanted it again. And I really own taking those breaks to get out, jump. Sometimes I'll get my kettlebell, which is right off camera over here, do that right here in the studio. Get outside, run, even for just a half a mile when I got congestion. It brings all that out. Hit the hot tub just for 5 or 10 minutes to sweat out some toxins, those kind of things. So real powerful. My challenge for you is if you don't take breaks to try it. Just try one a day for 10, 20 minutes and see how you feel. It's really, really powerful, I promise. Science backs it. Taking those breaks is everything towards feeling more fulfillment throughout your day. That reconnection with who am I and what am I doing on this planet and how does this help? Next up is happiness. Have I been learning, creating, and sharing that trifecta of happiness, learning something new, creating from what I've learned, sharing it, even with just somebody, one person, while being around people who generally uplift me? What's that number for you? I have to say, this is where I live, so we're 10 in that this time for this month. Been owning that, loving it, really crushing that. Finances, have I been committed to auto savings and living within my means? What shows up for you there? Have you been committed to auto savings and living within your means? Let's back that up through 2018. What's going on there? So I'm going to give myself a 9. I could do a little better. I think Vegas, a couple months ago, got a little out of hand there. Just a little bit. That happens when you're out there. That's what they try to have you do, right? Next, presence. How present, non-distracted have I been in general with myself, with those I'm around, with my team, with my customers, with the world? How's that showing up for you? The last 2 weeks. How present? And I would have to say an 8. I still find myself getting in my head a lot, going into that what I call zombie mode, right? So a big part of this is I am constantly on the hunt for better ways to be present and putting in triggers to get more present in areas that I know I'm weak in. Like I've been working to keep the phone away. I'll take pictures at dinner, but then it goes away. That's a big thing for so many people nowadays. Parents, I talked about this in our last month training. Kids are saying in their reports in 1st and 2nd grade the things I don't like about life. And they draw their mom or their dad on a phone. And they're like, don't like the fact that mommy doesn't pay attention to me. She's always on her freaking, they don't say this. She's always on her phone. They wouldn't say freaking phone probably. But that's the thing, right? So how are you doing there? What's showing up? If these numbers are falling below an 8, you know the job. What can you do starting right after today's session to level that up just a little bit? What's a habit, a trigger, a new way of being that you can do to bump that? And pick one. Don't think you got to hit all 17 of these. Just one. You got 17 weeks ahead of you. Pick one per week. Cool? Simple? I like this quote. If you got your pen and paper out, subtle shifts over the long term equal exponential results. Subtle shifts over the long term equal exponential results. And finally, or not finally, but a big part of this way this comes together is in purpose. Have I been living in my life purpose, toward my life purpose? That presumes that you have a purpose defined. For a lot of people, purposefulness is helping others improve their lives somehow and or grow their business somehow. Like that's the hierarchy of when people feel purposeful in a day. They're like, I've helped others somehow improve their lives. And that could be as simple as opening the door for somebody at a restaurant. Just that sensation of purposeful. Or helping your child with homework, with joy. Not like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. You figure it out. That kind of thing. So how are you feeling purposefully in the last 2 weeks? 10 for me. Really owning it. I live that though, and I want to make sure you know this. Don't think because I have a 10, if you have a 5, that you're like, oh my God, blah, blah. No. Wherever you're at is totally cool. That's where you're at in your journey. And that's totally fine. Just want to make sure you know. Just because I'm rating high numbers here, but this is my life, right? 20 years of really committed to personal development, self-development, going after these things. So whatever that is for you, just be real with it. Cool? Thanks so much for being here. Love the fact that we're having this journey together. All right, last one, daily plan. Have you been in control of your daily agenda, or has the world controlled it for you? What's the average there for you? Do you have a daily plan? Like, do you have a list of your priorities you got to get done today? Do you understand this beautiful saying, create in the morning, manage in the afternoon? So many people I coach, even with newborns, they say, the only time that I can really own for me is in the mornings. Otherwise, the days just flying all over the place. So we've worked ways to carve out even 20 minutes so they can just do what they want to do, to really feel that sensation of owning their day. Cool? So for me, daily plan is an action. I know that I can live into it better. Big part of this. So this is perspective keeping in the needle movers. Now today's training, which we'll step into in just a minute, is geared to help you level up this stuff. And if you get this fundamental piece, and it's giving me chills just to go over it because Grandma's right here and she was such a demonstrator of this. Gramps too, Grandma owned it, at least for me. Different people had different relationships with her, don't get me wrong. I had a beautiful relationship with this wonderful spirit, Bernice, Grandma B, rocking it. The best memory I ever have, it's hard to talk about this, but I will. I want to say I was in first or second grade. And this is when I was starting to really realize emotions, right? Like I was kind of like just 6, 7 years old. And I walked through their door. It was on Northrop in downtown Detroit. That's where they lived. My mom was with me. And my grandma came down and she goes, "Sweetheart, I made these things for you." It looks like we lost. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Let me tell the story real quick. I made these things for you. She had almond cookies. She had bananas cut up, or windmill cookies, bananas cut up, carrots cut up. And she goes, "Because I know you love them." And I was like, how in the world is that possible that she knows that so much about me? Cool. So my question for you as we start this is this. When is a time in your life when you felt the most loved? I gotta thank Brendan Bouchard for that question. I first heard that in 2011, and boy, I journaled and cried, man. And I'm proud to say it. For many, 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 many minutes. So with that being said, let me adjust the camera, get the picture back up, and then we're gonna dive into the training. Sound good? Thanks so much for being here. Let's go ahead and set everything up. All right. Make sure we're in focus here. Get some water, do part 2. Okay, here we go. So this marks the beginning of our training segment. Every month we do perspective keeping. As you saw, we rated ourselves in these areas to make sure we're kind of aligning ourselves at least 12 times a year. Now we're going in the training piece. So as I said, this underlying quality, characteristic trait by this wonderful lady here was my role model. And I didn't realize it, so I gave it deep thought in the last couple of weeks. Many people don't have a role model. Not necessarily their grandma, but anybody that demonstrates traits like she did for me. Grandpa did as well. Grandma was very communicative about it. So to go back what I just shared, when I walked in when I was 1 and Grandma knew what was important to me, and she had it there for me. She also knew I was somebody that needed to be kept busy or I caused a lot of trouble. So they had in their house in Detroit, they had an activities room. And it was very common for Grandma to have out popsicle sticks, glue, markers, paints, so that I would be kept busy doing stuff. And she'd always have a couple options for me, right? I was spoiled, I admit it, but spoiled with love and role model. So as I'm saying this to you, if you do not have somebody in your life or haven't historically had somebody in your life, this may be new language. And I recognize that and realize that. Growing up, I didn't. I thought everybody had grandma, you know? I didn't really realize, like, you don't have a grandma that does all these things? You don't have a grandma that knows what you love and works diligently to bring that into your life? Really? Wow. And then they met my grandma and they were like, holy moly. You know? So blessed. So what was the one underlying trait that grandma had? At least with me, I know with others she may have not exhibited this trait as much. But with me, I always felt this. What do you think that was? It's this. Got any ideas? Unconditional love. Unconditional love. My argument today is this, that if you get practice with, love, and having unconditional love with yourself and with others, choosing to be happy, not right all the time. That was in my 20s, I was the right fighter. and I was not happy. I was not a happy person. I was actually very aggressive back then. And over the years, I got to terms with what unconditional love is. So if you don't know what unconditional love is, let's frame for that. And I got it in this little note card here, and I'll make sure that I take a picture of this and put it in our replay. Unconditional love is having and expressing affection for someone without reservations. I'll say that again if you got your notes out. Unconditional love is having and expressing affection for someone without reservations. So if I'm writing, you should be writing. Unconditional, if I can spell it. Let's just try that again. Unconditional love. I'm drawing a big heart here. Whoops, that'll break in the middle. So having and expressing affection for someone without reservations. The very reason why I believe that I'm a really good high performance coach is that I don't, and I've trained myself to do this as hard as it sounds, I work diligently not to bring judgment to those I coach in their life journey. It's easy to do in our world, right? Like, why'd you make that move? What are you thinking? I work diligently to honor their journey and their struggle no matter where they're at. But it comes from, when I tapped into this a few years back, it comes from this beautiful spirit here, Grandma B. Like, really owning this was everything. Big part of why I believe that I've had employees for 23, 4, 5 years is because of unconditional love. Like, the idea that I've had affection for them, like their growth, cared for them, connect to them, no matter what. Like, there's no single event that I can think of, none at all, that would derail me from giving or being of unconditional love to my girls. No, there's going to be things I know that are going to come up that I may not like, but I'll always be unconditional loving to them. As long as we have hearts and are beating on this planet, like our hearts are beating on this planet, we're moving along, we're honoring the journey, but also celebrating the victories and joy, cool. So why unconditional love? And let me tell you this, let me frame this up for you. Your next step in life is to get more in tune with unconditional loving. Your next step as a coach, if you're a coach, is to be more of unconditional love. Your next step to have customers and to retain them is to demonstrate more unconditional love. I'm proof of that. I can give you tons of emails of examples. We'll be talking a lot about this in Business and Internet Mastery today. It's the demonstration of this. So why? Everyone needs these two things: more care and connection. Everybody needs care and connection. And one of the things that I love, Brendan Burchard, our high performance master coach, said, envision people walking down the street with this on their forehead: see me, hear me, acknowledge me, love me. Even if they're carrying that look like, leave me alone. Like, people need this. That's part of the human drive, the human spirit. Love is our truest nature. It's who we are at the core, right? It's one of the reasons why I really don't like liking things on Facebook. I like loving things on Facebook to demonstrate love consistently. And it's not like I'm just hitting love because it's the love button. I really am watching, seeing, and commenting and interacting in that way. You follow? It's a different way of living when you get it and own it. It's also very easy to fall into what they teach in the second agreement of the 4 agreements. If you haven't read that book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Second agreement, don't take anything personally. Like, so many people are just afraid to go on video. Like, they would never do what I'm doing with you right now because they don't have enough of that, I believe. Let me kind of illustrate this for you. When you are of unconditional love and you recognize people have faults and they're going to say things, and you recognize what Don Miguel Ruiz teaches in the 4 agreements, that people are going to extend their misery to you, usually in a nasty way, especially in comments, which I've gotten bunches of those, then you turn around and you're like, you know what? You got to be hurting. We don't take it internally. Somebody throws a bunch of negative energy at me, I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? How are you in, what part of pain are you in right now? Like, what's showing up for you? I don't say, you're a bleep bleep bleep. F off. I don't do that. Trust me, in my 20s I would have. I'm in my 40s, just in case you didn't know, because I have, slick looks, looking all fine for you. Got my hair done today. But this is the piece, right? I just want to make sure you know how important this is. If this is new lingo for you, I get it. Boy, in my 20s, I was kind of a mess. I'm like, there's no way. Then in my 30s, early 30s, Heather, Paul, and Dale challenged me to read the 4 agreements. They were my coaches. And I was like, okay. And I read that second agreement. I'm like, that isn't even possible. Don't take anything personally. But then there was this part of me that's like, what if I did that? Ooh. So I want to make sure you see the connection here. When you are of unconditional love, and let me reread that. Having and expressing affection for someone without reservation. When you're of that from your being, people feel it. You got their back, thick and thin. You follow? That's the beauty of this. So care and compassion. Now how? Let's articulate practices that you can put into play to really gain mastery here. Is that cool? Is this too deep? Is this too heavy for you? I'd love to know. Comment below if so far you're like, I don't even what? Never had a role model like this lady in my life. As a matter of fact, unconditional love, I believe people are filled with hate and they're out to just crush me. I've got a lot of people I work with who are in that place when we start. They have themselves surrounded with people of negative energy, neutral energy. As a matter of fact, last week, one of the best compliments I've ever received in the work that I've ever done in high performance coaching was this. A guy named Anthony. Charlie, you would have never known I live on an island and the people here are not of growth mindset. They're not of that. They are a blame, excuse, denial, and I never even knew this kind of thing existed, and I have huge hope for my future and my wife's future now. I never knew this existed. I never knew anybody, including my parents, who were of unconditional love. Never knew that. Never saw that. Heard about it, saw it in movies, thought it was like a dream. Like, yeah, that's not real. And so we've been working diligently at articulating that back and forth. That's massive. The beauty of this, just so you know, is that I get paid to do that. Who would have thought that I get paid to live into this beautiful lady's spirit, the best parts of her, help others, and I'm doing that purposefully and profitably. And I hope you feel that here. It isn't a money play. It isn't a money play for me at all. It's living purposefully, but having that foundation to assure we can sustain. So I can take care of my babies, my girls, my lady, my family, all those kind of things, right? That's this. That's why this is an underpinning to growing business, to growing in life. And if you don't have it, you got to find it. Trust me, it's out there. And if you're in a negative place, neutral place, and you're like, I don't want to hear this, shut me off, do it. But come back and watch to really go through the training that we're going to go through in just a little bit to sort of articulate what that is. So we know every human being on the planet, no matter who they are, needs a level of care and connection. Some people, they do a great job of shutting themselves out, living like a hermit, right? Our job, if you're on the hunt for this, like I am, is to demonstrate caring and connection always, no matter what. And when it shows up and it's bad, I'm on that. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. That's how I view it. Positive curiosity. And I would dare say some sternness. Because they'll be like, shut up. And I'm like, no. And I'm ready. Go ahead. Throw it at me. That's the part to this. You follow? This is really, really important. So no matter where you're at, there's a magic 3, the first thing that I want to make sure you get. These 3 are everything towards being, towards laying the foundation to be of unconditional love. Full presence. You're sitting with somebody, you see they're in a lot of pain, and you just become ultra present with them. Full eye connection. Full, like eyebrows are a tell in terms of how somebody's paying attention to you. Yeah, I'm making it happen right now, but you can tell when you're in the moment if they're legit, if it's authentic, right? You're like, eyebrows are going up and down, like you care. Wow. Like those kind of things, right? These are tells. If you're sitting with somebody and they seem present, but they're not, they're like, now, when we are demonstrating unconditional love, we are full connection. If you ever meet me in person or if you met me in person, you know that about me. Now, I've worked diligently to create that for me because it's something that I believe in that helps me be better on this planet and doesn't let me live with regret. You follow? I hope you're seeing the connection here. Second, comes back to caring. The second trait that's underpinning to unconditional love is to be of care, to care for others, to care for yourself. You know the saying, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. I'm working with a couple people right now who have dialed up, made the commitment as they go into the last half of this year, starting July 1, and they're actually doing it now already, to dial up self-care because they're falling apart in their relationships or their businesses or both because they just let that slide and they're not standing strong. Cool? The third of the magic three is compassion. And I got to tell you the definition of compassion. This lady was a master of it, Grandma B. It's to recognize somebody's struggle and have a desire to alleviate it. Let me say that again if you got your notes out. This is Merriam-Webster, one of their definitions. It's to recognize somebody's struggle and have a desire to alleviate it. You follow? So what were the words that Grandma said that demonstrated compassion? I didn't have to say a word, but I came in and I was pouty. I came in and I was tired. I came in and maybe I had bags under my eyes. Sweetheart, are you okay? Full presence, full care, full compassion. Sweetheart, are you okay? That's it. What's your phrase? My challenge for you is to think about what are your phrases or your, as I teach, sentence starters, 3 to 5 words that you can start and recognize in your ability to figure it out to deliver on the back end. What does that actually mean? It's like, sweetheart, are you okay? Like that's a sentence starter and then it could be finished with, because you look like you need some sleep. Or you look like you might be getting sick. Or you look like a mess, you know? That was what she was a master at. Just telling you this, man, it makes me just emotional because she was so good about that. I can tell you a lot of people found that annoying. I found that annoying at times because she was so like verbal. But that's high performance in life and in business. We're explicit communicators. We say what needs to be said. We challenge people. You follow? I'd love for you to take a moment right now. Think about your closest relationship in the last 12 days. 12 days, closest relationship. How present, how caring, how compassionate have you been? 0, not at all. 10, freaking crushing it. What are the words that come out of your mouth to demonstrate it? What are you saying to them along these lines? Especially compassion. Does that help? This is heavy duty stuff. This is laying a great foundation for us, by the way, for our masterful training in Business and Internet Mastery today, because that's one of the reasons I believe I've been able to sustain recurring revenue for so long with all these different realms that I've done it over the years. If you don't know my story, we built a massive recurring revenue in an internet service provider business in the 90s, sold it October 10th of 2000, and I retired at the age of 29. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because there were specific things that tied to this that kept people on our service because they knew we cared for them, loved them, wanted to make sure they had a great experience. These are all traits Grandma exhibited as part of that whole journey in life. You follow? Care, compassion. 2 goes deeper on compassion. Acknowledge the struggle and know the extrinsic and intrinsic values. So if I'm writing, you better be writing in your notes. That's the rule. If you're watching this training, when I write stuff, you write. That's how you get masterful here. So let me illustrate part 2 here. Let me get a little drink as we think about this. Part 2, Grandma acknowledged struggles that I didn't even know I had. For example, hey, Char, your eyes are glassy. You feeling okay? She put her hand here. Feels like you have a fever. Why don't you go lay down? Like she acknowledged the struggle. She also, as I talked about in my example earlier, knew what was important to me extrinsically. Money, back then it wasn't about money because I was little. Status, power, fame, connectedness, social recognition. And intrinsically, like things that were important to me. To feel good, to feel loved. She knew those things. She was a master of those things. Like she knew that I loved windmill cookies, cut up carrots, bananas, and she brought a tray out as soon as I got home. Like, didn't ask, just had it there. She knew that I love crafts. She knew that I love building things. She knew my values and she acknowledged that. So I challenge you to think about those closest to you. Do you know their struggles? Do you know their top 3 intrinsic values, like what's important to them? Just so you know, the number one thing that I've discovered, everybody wants personal free time. So if you can give a husband or a wife free time, like with or without you, that's usually a game changer. Big time. Hey, you know what, sweetheart? Why don't you go ahead tonight and go to that favorite place you like? Call some of your buds, go. Hey, beautiful, from a husband to wife. I know you love going to the mall. Why don't you go and enjoy yourself tonight? Just take the night off. Don't have to worry about cooking or doing anything for us. Just go. That's language around this. You follow? It's acknowledging of the extrinsic, intrinsic conversation. And if extrinsic and intrinsic are too far over your head, think of it this way. It's their currency. Do you know your lover's currency? What's important to them? What demonstrates love, presence, care, and compassion? That's a huge part to this. We teach that in High Performance, session 10, the persuasion formula. Acknowledge struggle, know their ambitions, help them get there. You follow? So acknowledge struggle. Tonight, you know what? I sense that you're not doing so well today. You're not in the best of moods. Is that true? Yeah? Why don't you take tonight off and go shopping? As a good husband, you might give her some money. Maybe not. Whatever that is. Why don't you take the night off and go shopping? Just disconnect, reset, recharge, rejuvenate, go. Have a blast. I'll take care of the kids. I got things covered. That, whew, look at that. That demonstrated consistently, holy moly, beautiful demonstration of unconditional love. Next is number 3, we kind of touched on this, is to paint a vibrant ambition. This lady was full of that. Let me give you an illustration. I go up north to Houghton Lake on a Friday after school. I get up there. Grandpa's got the snowmobiles fired up. Grandma's like, sweetheart, this weekend, we're going to go, Grandpa's going to take out snowmobiling tonight. Tomorrow we're going to go to Tip Up Town, which is a huge event up at Houghton Lake. We're going to have some fun there. Then we're going to come back, relax. We're going to have a campfire or a fire inside made at a fireplace. We're going to roast some marshmallows. I'm going to make a fondue. That was a huge thing she'd like to do. And after all that, we're going to chill and watch some movies. She painted an amazing ambition. Like, sometimes people are like, that's a little too much. She was a go-getter, deliver. You see how that all played out? So for you, your challenge is really clear. If you're going to demonstrate unconditional love, how well, consistently, are you demonstrating the ambition of what we're going to do together and the dreams? And they're co-created. Another high-performance phrase for you. People support what they create, right? So Grandma knew what we loved. So it was kind of a co-creation because she knew we loved snowmobiling. That was an assumption. We're going up north to snowmobile because the snow's out and it's winter. She knew we enjoyed Tip Up Town because it was just a cool little festival on the ice at Houghton Lake. She knew that we enjoyed good food, specifically Bustilli's Pizza. So these were things that were co-created, literally, because we would tell her that, you know? And she'd be like, deliver, 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 deliver. And she would verbalize the ambition. Big part of unconditional love is doing that consistently. And that is number 4. The last piece that you've got to master is consistently living into the things we've talked about for the long term. The very best leaders crush this. The very best grandmas own this. The very best parents freaking deliver. You see? That's the beauty of unconditional love when we get it. So let's reframe as we end the training piece. And we've got, what do we have? About 5-10 minutes. Unconditional love is having and expressing affection for someone without reservation. What does it look like? What does it feel like? It feels like care and connection. It feels like presence, caring, compassion. What's compassion? It's recognizing somebody's struggle and having a desire to alleviate it. What Grandma do? She not only recognized and had a desire to alleviate it, she said that. Hey, it looks like sweetheart, are you feeling okay? Here's what we're going to do this weekend. Here's what we're going to have fun connecting, caring, going after. The very best leaders in business They reiterate this. Simon Sinek teaches this in Leaders Eat Last. You are on the hunt every day for little pockets of sentences you can introduce and say that are things like, you guys know why we're doing this? Because we love our customers and we love to help them in life or in business, depending on what you do. And you're saying that with meaning, conviction, love, care, compassion. Cool? Next, you got to know their currency. You've got to know what's important to them. My challenge for so many business owners who say they're babysitting is they need to be better leaders, doing more of this unconditional love. The other piece to this is they have to own knowing the currency of their employees. If their employee loves going to Disney, that leader needs to introduce ways or bonuses that you can go to Disney if you do a good job here. I want to send you to Disney and your family for a 4-day treat at the end of this quarter if we can really work to hit some measurements or goals. What better way to do that? Now it has to be from the heart, right? It's not like I'm going to do this tactically. It's got to be from the heart. Paint that vibrant ambition continuously like Grandma did. I still hear her saying those things. I wake up to it sometimes. That whole song she used to sing, very religious, Grandma was. This is the day that the Lord has made, we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I see her skipping around singing it, like setting a positive frame for the day. She was like on it, owning it, and then flipping pancakes, loving it. And most importantly, and this is where I think everybody, including me, falls off, number 4, doing that consistently, continually, thoroughly for the long term. You follow? So this ends the training part of our work today. How did we do? I'm looking at my Facebook feed here and I see tons of little hearts flying up over and over again. I can't tell who that is, but I want to thank you. Tons of love around unconditional love. Unconditional love. So what do we need to do tactically to put that in play? That's the last part of our training today, is the tactics. What do we need to do tactically to make this real for you? My goal in every one of our trainings is this. We give you specific things you can do the moment we shut this down that changes your life and those around you for the better along these lines: health, wealth, and happiness. If I'm not delivering there, I feel like I failed. I never want to fail. I don't want to fail you. I believe in you. I know what this can mean for you if you're not getting masterful of this or this is new to you. I know how this can change. We're going to talk about how this changes business big time with specific examples in our business and internet mastery training. So let's make it real, shall we? Awesome. So here we go. The first step, the moment we're done or right now, get your journal out or a piece of paper out and write down this. When is a time in my life when I felt the most loved? Really spend some time just kind of reconnecting with life, going back, visualizing all those moments in life, different people. Sometimes, and it's happened for me with this one, it's when I was younger, right? And then you need to break down these things. What were the qualities, traits, characteristics, and values exhibited? My dream for you is to have those things documented so that you have a punch list of things you need to build. You follow how important that is? So what are the traits of when you felt the most loved? I've gone over so many of them today. She was great about recognizing what I was struggling with. She was great about painting great ambition. She was just a powerhouse when it came to keeping me busy with fun stuff. Like, I just couldn't wait to be with her, you know? Just couldn't wait. With great food, great connectedness. Those are the pieces. So what am I doing, right? These are my punch list. These are really important. Next, pick 1, 2, or 3. Ask, how can I develop those skills, behaviors, and tactics? Now, this can seem overwhelming. Let's say you come up with a dozen traits, qualities, characteristics, values. When you have a dozen of these things, let me break it down for you in the simplest way I can help you. Pick 1 per week for the next 12 weeks and just practice it every day. And it could be, as we'll say here, create your sentence starters. It could be in the phrasing. Like Grandma's phrase, sweetheart, are you feeling okay? Are you doing okay? ... Because it looks like just these phrases that demonstrate this over time. Of course, behind it, you got to back it up, right? That's the shift. So create your sentence starters. Simple tactics. I just want to make sure we end on that note for you. I'm going to go over one more time to make sure it sinks in. Today, our entire goal was to get perspective on these important, crucial areas of life and these 10 needle movers. Rate yourself there. Then we dove into training that helps in all of these areas. And I hope you see how this helps level up everything here. Everything. Every one of these things, especially with these two, was critical around this. Then we went through all of these traits, qualities, characteristics that need to be developed, that you need to train yourself on, and then real specific exercises. When was a time in the life you felt the most loved? What were the traits, qualities, characteristics, values? If you can get that list and have your team at work do that work too, and then say our goal as a company is to develop the top 3 from all of our lists and be more of that, watch out, customers. They're gonna be like, who are you? And I gotta tell you, that attracts people of that type. And who doesn't want to work with more loving customers, right? Really important qualification. How can you develop the skills, behavior, and tactics? Pick 1, 2, or 3 of those traits. And like I said, challenge yourself a week at a time. Put in a week-long event. This week I'm going to work on my sentence starter for acknowledging struggle. Could be a variation of what Grandma said. Sweetheart, are you feeling okay? You doing okay? Is there anything I can help you with? Finally, I want to make sure, as we step into this, thank you to Sarah Jeans for rocking it out, one of our beautiful Mastery community members. She shared with us, just like we did last month, a little tactic on an exercise you can do, falling in the exercise category, that can be short and sweet in those breaks that we talked about, that can really help you feel better, more emotionally connected, more alive, more fulfilled, and that is this deep squats. So if you need articulation on, I'll make sure I link to it in the replay of what a deep squat is. It's the deep squat and holding it, and then doing kettlebell squats with that. We're going to demonstrate what that is. But her philosophy, just like Don's was last month, is to assure you're doing deep squats 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's a short little exercise that can bring oxygenation in your body and rock it out. So we'll have more details on that, maybe a video of where you can learn the proper procedure, because you got to do it properly. It could knock yourself out if you don't. And make sure you're owning it. So that all being said, this ends today's Health, Wealth, and Happiness Monthly Mastery Training. I hope you enjoyed this one. This lays the beautiful foundation for what we're going to cover in our Business Internet Mastery, which starts in about an hour. And if you're not part of our Mastery community, if you're watching on Facebook, bit.ly/mastery app. That's how you can get in. We qualify our people, make sure we're getting into the right people in the right group. bit.ly/mastery app. And I hope this served you. You know, my job on this planet is so incredibly simple, is to help you live more purposefully, more passionately, connected, joyous, fulfilled, alive, more positively, more productively, with more harmony, not necessarily doing more, doing the right things, and of course more profitably. I hope we delivered for you today. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye. Rock. Oh yeah, baby. Thanks for joining us on Facebook.